I'm James Turk. I'm a director of the Gold Money Foundation, and I'm here today with Barbara Kolm of the Friedrich von Hayek Institute and the Austrian Economic Center here in Vienna, Austria. Barbara, it's a pleasure to be here with you today. I'd like to talk a little bit about the Hayek Institute first, and then also the Austrian Economic Center. Can you tell us a little bit about those two organizations?
Well, with pleasure, thanks. Thank you, James. It's good to be here with you. First of all, our foremost task is to bring back the Austrians to Austria. You know, the Hayek Institute has the cradle here in Vienna, and it was also founded by Hayek himself 1 year before he passed away. But the big tradition that we have in Austria has been forgotten when all the Austrians had left in the 30s. Finally, now we have to bring it back, and this is our task, which we do, and we have become more successful with that in the past years.
Mm-hmm. Is the Austrian Economic Center part of the Hayek Institute?
Well, the Austrian Economic Center is a completely independent entity, and the Austrian Economic Center is operating internationally. We also do have a friends organization in the United States, whereas the Hayek Institute is just operating here in Austria, in Vienna, and the center, the Austrian Center, operates throughout Europe until the Far East, until Baku, Tbilisi, Istanbul, all these places.
Wherever the internet reaches, that's where the Austrian Economic Center reaches then as well.
That's true.
What's the website for the Austrian Economic Center?
The website is www.austriancenter.com.
Center, C-E-N-T-E-R?
Yes.
.com, okay.
Yeah.
What has been the reception here in Vienna for the Austrian School?
Well,
is it making inroads again, or?
Yes, it does. I mean, we have been preaching for the past 10 years that what has happened or currently will happen. So we told them in 2000 and earlier on that we are having bubbles, not only the financial bubble, but especially the sovereign debt bubble that will sooner or later burst. We've been doing that for nearly 10 years now, and the bubbles are bursting, and people, especially politicians, finally have to understand that the Austrian school is right with what they have predicted and what they teach. Mm-hmm. And consequently, we find a better reception of the teachings.
Are you also finding that in academic circles, or is it only in political circles so far?
Unfortunately, academics still tend to believe in Keynesian economics and neoclassical economics. But I assume that sooner or later, due to the facts and figures that we are being faced with, academics in Europe will have to rethink.
Mm-hmm. What about the population as a whole? Are people starting to inquire about the Austrian school and their line of thinking, or is the population pretty much still isolated from Austrian thought?
Well, this is the good thing about the Austrian school and about the Austrian school of thought. It's down to earth. It's easy to understand. It has the individual as the key element. Mm-hmm. And this is what it is all about, individual freedom and our right to make our own decisions. And we don't like big government. And this is what the individual, the citizen, finally understands, that government is taking away his money, is spending it not very wisely, and now they realize, oh, we need to stop that. So they understand it from a very practical point of view, maybe not directly correlating it to the Austrian school, but this is our task. So we tell them, this is happening, these are the facts and the figures, and this is the theory behind it. And combine the two of those things, and you will have a sound economy and citizens that are better off in the end.
Yeah, you make a good point. You know, one of the things I always like to say is that the Austrian school is built on logic and common sense, not mathematical models.
Exactly.
You know, and after all, Mises, the title of his great book is Human Action, which is really what it's all about, you know, at the individual level. And I think, you know, if people are willing to look at a logical, common sense approach, it seems inevitable that the Austrian school will come to the forefront. What about media attention? You know, it would seem that, you know, given the fact that this is the birthplace of Austrian economics, that the media would be quite interested in the historical context.
They are getting more interested, and due to all the attention we get abroad, because especially in the new European member states, in Eastern European countries, the Austrian school is much more embraced. Also in the practical political world, people understand the concepts there, and they understand that big government is definitely not the solution, that they need to downsize things. So journalists actually right now see what is going on, what goes wrong, and they ask the right questions, or at least they are beginning to ask the right questions. Mm-hmm. And this helps us, and they get a better understanding. Mm-hmm.
Is your organization specifically work with journalists and the media in order to help them understand what the Austrian School is all about?
We do provide them with special information, of course, but if you talk about that, that's actually something that we intend to do and start for 2012, start a journalists educating program based actually at the Hayek Hall here in Vienna. And it's good that you mentioned this. This is going to start in January 28th.
Okay, and given that we're here at the Go Ahead Business Summit in Vienna, I assume participating in conferences is another way of reaching out to business leaders as well?
Yeah, that's true. So what Go Ahead does here in Vienna, and especially Niki Kimler has provided, is reaching out to a group that actually, as a citizen, with their hearts, have understood and have embraced the Austrian theory. Because what does an entrepreneur do? He acts responsibly and he takes his own risk. And he understands that he cannot spend more money than he has. And this is actually the Austrian concept, and this is what they do on an entrepreneurial level and what individuals do. So what we have to do, and this is our task, to transport and translate this to public policy. Mm-hmm. And this is what we do together. Okay.
Yeah, another aspect of the Austrian School that I like very much is that it really treats capital for what it is. It's something very, very special. Capital comes from hard work and savings. And the term is so misused today. For example, in this, with these bailouts going on, governments are talking about recapitalizing the banks, but what they're doing is going out and borrow and taking that borrowed money and putting that into banks as if that were capital, yeah. Which of course it's really not. But capital is treated very specially within the Austrian School of Economics, and as a consequence, I would think that business leaders and entrepreneurs would be very much attuned to Austrian thinking.
Of course, actually, they should have. I mean, I understand that that business leaders, entrepreneurs are naturally born Austrians. Mm. It's as simple as that, and everybody who respects, as I say, entrepreneurship, tradition, risk-taking, and of course responsibility is a true Austrian by heart. And these things just go together, and you can't separate them.
I agree. Maybe they don't understand, though, that they're a true Austrian at heart because they haven't been exposed to the thinking of the Austrian school. So it's, I guess, a question of having them exposed to, all of the tenets of the Austrian school so that they could understand better that they're really part of the thinking that makes the Austrian school.
The Austrian school is a question of reason. It's just rational to embrace these thoughts.
Mm-hmm. Are there any other initiatives that you're going to be pursuing in the future, aside from the one we were talking about with journalists and the media?
Yeah, we're just currently running a students' competition and the economics education for the next generation. We ask the students to provide their ideas of how they would like to be educated, just to understand how important innovation and economic growth is for their future well-being. Mm-hmm. And without innovation and knowledge creation, we cannot survive. So we do this via a competition, and the winners of this competition, which will be presented October 19th at the gala with Mario Vargas Llosa, the Nobel laureate, we will use the winners, or invite the winners to join us for a mentee program, which will which will last for the entire year in 2012. And after this mentee program, where the students are educated by our professors and teachers in Austrian economics theory, but also by entrepreneurs and business leaders and the practical ideas of how economy really works and what the most important things are. This is another thing. We do have our Austrian economics dictionary program, which is a bilingual, or actually multilingual, dictionary of economic terms, 1,800 terms, explained in a very simple Austrian way. So very complicated things explained simple, which can be downloaded on Google Android, iPhone and Blackberries, but also can be bought in books. And we have 12 languages already, including Chinese, Hindi, all the Balkan languages, Spanish, Italian, German, English.
Are you finding a global interest?
Yes, we do. We have without advertising, we have had already 60,000 downloads and haven't done anything so far.
Wow, that's fantastic. That's just word of mouth?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, and all of the languages are popular?
Yeah.
You're going to be adding other languages as well? Or?
We will be adding further languages, but the most important, of course, are English, Spanish, Chinese, Hindi.
Japanese, do you have that as well?
Japanese not yet, and not Russian yet. We're looking for sponsors, actually, to get this done.
How do people learn about funding the Institute or the center?
Either via our websites or via word of mouth, of course.
So go to
austriancenter.com or our Friends organization, which is friendsofaustriancenter.com, and for the United States.
And in terms of the downloads, they would also be available from the website?
They are only available via those cellular phones, via those devices that I pointed out earlier.
Through the handheld devices?
Exactly.
Okay.
In the app stores.
Are there any other important initiatives that you're taking?
Oh yes, there is one that especially our American friends would love to. I think it's the Free Market Roadshow, which is a tour throughout the capitals, not only European, but going as far as the Middle East or Far East, where we, this year, for example, discussed the sovereign debt crisis. Within 17 days, we passed 11 capitals with more than 120 speakers, international speakers, Nobel laureates, top journalists, top business people. So we do learn from each other, travel, have fun, but also, most importantly, spread the word, the Austrian economics word.
Is this going to be a continuing program that
we have done this for 4 years now. Next year will be the 5th year, and it's ever expanding. So next year we start May 1st in Kiev and go down to Baku, and from then we follow the entire path.
Okay, and the schedule for that is on the website?
It is, of course, on the website. It's both on both websites, the Austrian Center's website and freemarket-rs.com.
Okay, we'll look for that too.
Thank you.
This is going to be viewed by thousands of people around the world. Is there any parting message that you would like to leave, either about Austrian economics in general or about the work that you're doing with the Hayek Institute or the Austrian Center?
The tradition of the Austrian School helps us understand what is going on in the world. And in order to become more prosperous and to gain economic growth and well-being for everybody, we need to embrace their school of thought, which is risk-taking, which is responsibility, individual responsibility, and of course freedom. Individual freedom is the most important good that we have to preserve.
And by implication, countries have to follow the rule of law.
Of course, which is a precondition.
Right,
Thank you.
Barbara, thank you very much. Barbara Kolm from the Austrian Center and the Hayek Institute here in Vienna. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, James.